Alright, time for the solutions for the congruence in triangles paper. This is all about really just notation, so make sure you're writing things in the right order, with the right symbols and all that. So here we got two triangles that are congruent, and it's asking what side is congruent to FD. Well, FD is right there, and that's the one that has the 3 tick marks. And so you go to the other triangle, find the one that has the 3 tick marks, and that's the side you're going to write down. That is side KI. And make sure you put that line over the top, because that means it's the segment, the line segment, KI. On to angle A is congruent to what angle? Well, A has the double arc in the corner there, and on the other one, that's angle M, so that's going to be your answer, angle M. Yeah, make sure you put that little angle symbol there, right in front of the M. Moving on to the next part, these triangles aren't drawn on, but here it's listed, and the parts that are in the same location in the order are the ones that are congruent. So T is congruent to G, F congruent to U, and then E and V are congruent. So the pairs that match up are congruent. And it's asking about angle U. Well, that's the middle one here, and so the one that would be congruent is the middle one on that one. So that's angle F. So make sure you put the angle symbol and then F. Moving on to the next one, it's asking about angle W. Well, W is the first one on that list of the congruent triangle statement, and G is the first on that one, so you should put that down, angle G. Moving on to 5, it's asking about angle Y. Well, that's the last one on the triangle congruent statement, and C is the last one on the second one, so it's going to be angle C. Moving on to 6, it's asking about angle F is congruent to what? Well, F is the last one on that congruent statement, R is the last one, and so that's going to be what angle F is congruent to. And moving on to the next part, you need to write the statement that indicates the triangle's congruent, the triangle congruency. And so put down triangle symbol, and then really you just pick whatever order you want on your vertices. Just make sure you're going around the triangle. And I'm going to just do triangle IJK is congruent to triangle, and then you have to, on the next one, make sure the vertices that you list are corresponding with the ones that are on your first triangle. So I was my first one, that's the one that has 3 arcs in the corner, and S has 3 arcs in the corner, so that's going to be my first one. J has 1, T has 1 arc in the angle there, so T is going to be our next one, and then K has 2, which corresponds with R, and so we're going to put that down, STR. On 8, I'm just going to go triangle CDB is congruent to triangle, and I need to match these up. Angle C has 2 arcs in the corner, H has 2 arcs in the corner, so that's going to be my first one. D has 3, and I has 3, so I'm going to put I next, and then B and G are the ones that have the single arc, and the angle there, so they're the ones that correspond. So we're looking at triangle HIG. On 9, I'm just going to go with my top triangle here. QRP is congruent to triangle. Well, Q here, and this I'm looking at the top triangle here, has 2 arcs in the corner, and on the bottom triangle that's going to be angle P. So I'm going to put that first. R has 3, and D has 3, so D is going to be my next one. And then it's going to be my last vertex, which is here at Q, which has 1 arc in the corner, 1 congruence mark, just like P, so they match up. And moving on to 10, triangle. Let's go with ISR is congruent to triangle. You match up angle I, which is the one with the 3 congruence marks, that matches up with T. And then the next one I had was S, and that's the one that has 1 arc in the corner. So that matches up with R on the bottom triangle. And then R on my first triangle, my left triangle there, has the 2 marks, which matches up with S, and so it's going to be S there. On 11, I'm just going to do triangle WXV to be congruent. A little bit more wavy on that one. Triangle. Well, W is the one that has the 2 arcs, the 2 congruent arc marks there, and so that matches up with D. X has 3. E has 3, so that's what I'm going to put down next. And then V and C are the ones that have the single arc, so I'm going to put that down. Triangle DEV. On 12, you can put triangle, let's do TUS is congruent to triangle. Well, T has the 2 arcs, which is what D has. U has 3 marks, and so does E, so E is going to be my next one. And then S has 1 along with C, and so I'm going to put C last. On 13 and to the end, you're just filling in the markings, and use your statement here to help you know which angles match up. So B, I'm just going to have that be my 1 arc one that matches M, so I'm going to put a single arc there. D is my next one, so I'm going to put 2 marks there. L is my next one there, so I'm going to make sure I put 2 arcs in that corner. And then C and K are my last corners. I'm going to make sure I put 3 arcs there. Between B and D, I'm going to put a mark, and that matches up with M and L. So I'm going to put my single slash there. And then between D and C, I'm going to put my 2 marks. And so on my other one, between L and K, I'm going to put my 2 slashes, my 2 tick marks. And the last side, you just put the 3 marks, and you're all done. Moving on to the next one, G matches L. So I'm going to put my single arc. F matches K. And I'm going to start actually just putting the sides down because I already have those 2 angles, and the ones in between them are going to match. E matches M. I can put the double mark between those, and then I just have to put the triple mark in between the last 2 angles. On 15, M matches up with S, so I'm going to put my single arc there. K matches T, so I'm going to put my double arc there. I'm going to put the tick mark that's between those angles on both, because they'll match up, MK and ST. And then L is the last one for both. So I'm going to put the triple mark between them. And between the 2 and 3 angles, I'm going to put my double tick mark. And that brings us to our last side, which means it's going to have the triple mark. On 16, H matches J. I matches T. And I'm going to put my tick mark between those. And then J matches S. So I'm going to put my triple arcs there. I'm going to put the double marks between them because those sides are going to have to match up because they're second in our list there. And the last sides are going to be the sides that match up because they're the last ones. On 17, C matches up with C, so both these little angles here at C are going to match up. D matches D, so I'm going to put the double arc on both those. And then B matches L. I'm going to put the triple mark there. And in between the single ones and the double ones, I'm going to put my tick mark there. Between the double and the triple marked angles, I'm going to put my second pair of tick marks. And then on the last sides, I'm going to put my triple marks. And finally, 18, J matches up with J, so these 2 angles match up. And that makes sense because they're vertical angles. I matches up with C. And I'm going to put the tick mark between them. It's not very straight. and then K matches up with D. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And you put my double mark between them, and then the triple mark there. And that's what your ending result's going to look like. I hope these have been helpful.